Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Military Forces Unleashed. Today, we're diving deep into RIMPAC 2024, the world's biggest maritime exercise that brings together navies from 29 countries. We're talking ships, subs, aircraft, and a whole lot of military muscle flexing in the Pacific. But it's not all smooth sailing. There's plenty of technical hiccups, political tension, and of course, some rusty old ships trying to keep up with the high-tech fleets. So, buckle up as we take you behind the scenes of this massive exercise and explore both the highlights and the not-so-glamorous side of RIMPAC. RIMPAC 2024, the world's biggest naval get-together, where 29 nations, 40 surface ships, 3 submarines, 150 aircraft, and more than 25,000 military personnel descend upon the Hawaiian Islands for a few weeks of drills, sun, and, let's be honest, a whole lot of posturing. You've got everyone from seasoned superpowers like the US and Japan flexing their military might, to countries like Chile and Brunei just happy to have a seat at the table. The official tagline this year? Partners, integrated, and prepared. But as with any good party, things are never as perfect as they seem. On paper, RIMPAC 2024 is all about fostering cooperation between the world's navies and ensuring the safety of international sea lanes. It's meant to be the ultimate practice run for, well, anything. From disaster relief to anti-piracy operations to full-scale naval warfare. And that's not just PR fluff. They do get into some serious warfighting practice, including missile launches, amphibious landings, and anti-submarine warfare. In theory, it's a chance for everyone to learn how to work together in case the world goes belly up, and we actually need a coalition of 29 navies to defend international waters. But let's not get too carried away. While RIMPAC is certainly a logistical marvel, it's not all smooth sailing, pun intended. There's a reason why military exercises like these come with hiccups, and RIMPAC is no exception. First, the positives, because that's what the press conferences love to highlight. Yes, RIMPAC really does give nations a chance to train together, which sounds simple, but is actually a major deal when you consider how different each navy operates. The US Navy might be used to cutting-edge tech and well-funded fleets, while some of their partners are lucky to have ships that don't rust in the water. So in that sense, RIMPAC helps close the gap. You've got Chile's Navy, with Commodore Alberto Guerrero stepping up as deputy commander for the first time in RIMPAC's history, and the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force playing a leading role. Not to mention, the humanitarian aid and disaster relief operations are a big part of the exercise, with over 2,500 people simulating everything from tsunamis to mass medical emergencies. This stuff matters, especially in the Pacific, where natural disasters are as common as tourists in Waikiki. Now for the not-so-shiny side. For all the talk of integration and preparedness, the reality is that some of these navies just aren't on the same page. It's like trying to play a soccer game where half the players have never seen a ball before. Sure, the US Navy can execute a missile strike with pinpoint precision, but that doesn't mean every participating country is ready to keep up. Technical issues, language barriers, and equipment mismatches are just a few of the reasons why interoperability often sounds better on a PowerPoint than in real life. One anonymous source from a Western Navy once joked that sometimes RIMPAC feels more like a military kindergarten. Everyone's trying their best, but not everyone is ready for recess. Speaking of things not being quite ready, let's talk about the gear. While the US Navy is bringing in billion-dollar warships and high-tech drones, some of the other countries, not so much. You've got ships out there that have been around since your grandparents were teenagers. This is especially true for some smaller nations. While RIMPAC's spirit is inclusive, almost to a fault, not all ships are built or maintained equally. That's not just a minor inconvenience either. When you're out there in live drills, trying to sync up a fleet from 29 countries, it becomes painfully obvious whose equipment is, let's say, less than cutting edge. There's a certain charm to seeing a rusted-out frigate struggling to keep pace with an American destroyer, but that charm fades when it starts impacting operations. Then there's the tech issue. The US has been working on integrating newer technologies like unmanned systems, but that's a tall order when some participants are still figuring out how to upgrade their radar systems from the 1980s. It's a bit like watching someone try to play Call of Duty on a typewriter. In one exercise, a participating Navy reportedly had their communications system crash mid-drill, turning their ship into a very, very expensive floating question mark. And while these things are supposed to be learning experiences, you have to wonder just how much patience the superpowers have left for the less experienced players in the field. Of course, no RIMPAC would be complete without the geopolitical baggage. You can't have the world's biggest naval exercise without a few raised eyebrows. China, famously uninvited since 2018 due to its activities in the South China Sea, has a habit of sending spy ships to watch from the sidelines. This year is no exception. It's the unspoken reality of RIMPAC. While nations are practicing cooperation, there's always someone lurking in the background keeping a close eye. And not just China. Russia has ramped up its interest in the Pacific too, making things even more tense. Some exercises like missile launches tend to draw extra attention, and not always the good kind. Then there's the internal politics. While RIMPAC is a symbol of unity, the reality is that some nations have their own agendas. For example, Japan's role in RIMPAC has grown significantly, reflecting its increasing military assertiveness. While that's welcomed by the US, it raises some eyebrows among other Asian countries that remember a time when Japan's military wasn't exactly popular in the region. At the end of the day, RIMPAC 2024 is like a massive, high-stakes rehearsal dinner. It's impressive, it's essential, but it's also a bit chaotic. Sure, the world's navies are practicing working together, but they're also getting a crash course in each other's weaknesses. The US might leave with some lessons about how to manage coalitions in real conflict, while smaller nations are reminded just how far they have to go to catch up. There's no denying the importance of the exercise, but as with all things military, what's advertised and what actually happens on the ground or in the water are often two very different stories. And that's a wrap for today, folks. RIMPAC 2024 might look like a well-oiled machine from the outside, but as you've seen, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the world's biggest maritime exercise, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more, and hit that bell so you never miss an episode of Military Forces Unleashed. Until next time, stay informed, stay sharp, and keep an eye on the world's forces in action. See you in the next one.